All right, hello everybody. This is Jamie from Media Talk. I'm joined today by John Lyons show. Um, I'm holding the microphone right up to my face because we're having problems hearing John's end. So I'm going to be real close to the microphone like this. I hope it isn't a problem for all of you. So, John, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So, what do you want to talk about today?
Uh, you had mentioned something about movies.
Yeah, what movies you seen recently, John?
What have I seen recently? The two most recent movies that I have seen, I saw The Jesus Revolution and I saw Ant-Man, the third Ant-Man movie in the theaters.
How was that? I heard it's not so good.
Ant-Man? Um, I like it, but I'm a sucker for the Marvel movies. You know this about me. It's it's got its issues, no doubt. There are some things that they did where like for example, and spoiler alert for everybody who has not seen the movie yet. They made the Yellow Jacket the MODOK of this movie, and yeah, on one hand, like it worked really well. It was really funny, but on the other hand, I'm like, you have completely ruined a very classic Marvel character. Why would you do that? Um, it was a good movie. It is nothing more than just setting up the future of the MCU with Kang as the bad guy. That's all this movie is. But I enjoyed it.
Okay. Um,
One more time.
have you seen Three to Three yet, or are you planning on seeing it anytime soon?
So here's the thing, and you're probably gonna hate me for this. I have not seen any of the Rocky movies or the first two Creed movies, so I'm really behind.
You haven't seen a single Rocky.
I've seen bits and pieces of the first one and of the fourth one, but not like all the way through.
I've got to change.
They are on my ever-growing list of movies that I need to watch.
What other movies are on there?
Oh gosh, lots of stuff that I mostly can't even remember. So obviously the Rocky movies. I need to watch the second, the third, and the fourth Indiana Jones movie. I've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's the only one.
What?
I also need to watch the fourth, fifth, and sixth Mission Impossible movie. I've seen the first three, but I haven't watched the third three yet. Oops, third and three, second three. Um, I need to watch Good Will Hunting. Gosh, it's the sort of thing where like somebody brings it up, like, oh yeah, I need to watch that movie, but it's not actually. I should probably write it down because there are so many movies that I'm like, yeah, I need to watch that.
My phone, I
Hmm?
have a notes app in your phone.
Oh yeah.
I have a list. I just write on recommend
Okay.
that helps.
One sec. Responding to a text. Gotta love it. All right. Notes app. Um, to be honest, I really haven't watched all that many movies recently. I've been more into just binge watching TV shows. Um, I watch like the same three shows over and over again. I watch Psych a lot. I've watched through that show like five times. It is it's a really good show. It's a detective show about a guy whose his dad was a cop and who when he was a young child his dad taught him how to be very, very observant. and to be able to notice like small details, like he could walk into a room and notice everything right away. And because it's the smallest of small details that not everybody immediately picks up on, he uses that and pretends that he's a psychic and he's getting these psychic visions. Um, I don't know if you've ever seen The Mentalist, but it's basically a comedic version of The Mentalist. It's a funny show. I also pretty frequently watch through Scrubs, which is a doctor show. Yeah. Also watch, what else do I watch? How I Met Your Mother. I've watched that one through a few times. One more time. I lost you.
Fucking
Hmm?
I hear the ending to that show is not too good.
Oh, the ending. Okay. So two shows, How I Met Your Mother, and then the next one that I'll talk about. Great shows, but the ending sucks. How I Met Your Mother especially pisses me off because of like not even just it's been out long enough. I'm going to spoil it, and I feel no shame. The mother dies in the last episode. Like they spend the entire series of him telling his kids the story of how he met the mom, and then she just dies. Like, okay, she herself is only present for one season. She's only in the last season, and then they kill her in the very last episode. She gets sick with cancer and dies. Would yeah, she is. They so it's the weirdest thing. The two characters knew each other for years. Once they meet, the two of them know each other for like 7 years before they actually ever get married, and they have at least one of the two kids. I think they have the oldest before they ever get married. Um, and then the thing that pisses me off the most about it is they take the entire ninth season telling the story of Barney and Robin's wedding for them to get divorced in one of the last episodes. It's like the whole last season takes place over about 2.5 days. It's like 55 hours, I think, from the time that they get to the church where they're having the wedding to the actual wedding itself, and they just tell the whole story of that weekend. And they do the whole thing, getting them married. They've spent the previous 8 seasons telling the story of them even getting engaged, and then the last season is the wedding, and then boom, we're getting divorced. It's like what the absolute fuck hizzle. Um, it's a little aggravating. But the other one, and it's a completely different show. It's one I'm actually on my second watch through right now. It's called Chuck. Have you ever heard of it? It's a guy. And so it's got Zachary Levi in it. He's a computer geek at a store called Buy More, which is essentially a Best Buy. And he's on the Nerd Herd, so it's essentially the Geek Squad. Um, but yeah, he accidentally gets a CIA supercomputer downloaded into his brain. It's called the Intersect, and so yeah, no, it's weird. His old college roommate sends him an email because his old college roommate is a CIA agent. And he sends him an email with with all of the files from this computer. They call it the Intersect, and he has no clue what it is, and he just opens it. And what the Intersect is it's a series of encoded images. So the images have like this weird data file behind it that can download into the person's brain, and then basically whenever he sees something or someone that is in one of those files, he do what's called flashing, which means that it it like pulls several files out of his brain, and he can get all this information from it. It's so unrealistic, but it is so good. um and he ends up getting recruited into the CIA and working with them because he's this human supercomputer. Um, Great show. It absolutely has a terrible ending. It's only 5 seasons, and over the course of the first four, one of the CIA agents that he works with, he and she end up, they obviously fall for each other and they get married. They get married at the end of season 4, I think. Um, in season 5, they discover a new version of the Intersect computer that was actually developed by one of the bad guys as a way to render Chuck useless. Because what it happens is every time the person who uses it flashes, it actually causes brain deterioration and memory loss. Right. And they only know this because at the very beginning of that season, his best friend gets it put in his head, and he ends up starting. He basically ends up working for one of the minor bad guys, and he turns into a completely different person. Like he loses memories and everything. It's ridiculous. At the end of that season, his wife gets it put into her head because she gets into a tight pinch and she just puts it in so that the bad guys don't actually get access to it. And then the main bad guy of the season causes her to flash over and over and over and over again until she forgets all about Chuck. And the end of the series is she has forgotten completely about Chuck and their marriage and the previous 5 years. It's horrendous. And I will not lie, I cried like a baby while I was at work when I watched it and damn near threw my phone out on the robotics floor. Yeah. What are the words coming out of your face?
I've been there once or twice.
Yeah.
When I was reading Game of Thrones, when Ned dies.
Oh yeah.
I watched the Game of Thrones.
I've had so much of that the show and books spoiled for me. It's fine.
When Ned dies, I fucking
Oh, ouch. Oh. Yeah, Katie, when I was with Katie, she tried to get me to watch that show over and over and over again, and I was like, I'm good. Thank you.
It's really good. It's not for
Yeah. It it sounds like something I would probably enjoy, but I've also heard that there is a crap ton of nudity in that show, and you know how I feel about that. So,
it's not like it's not my recommendation.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Nice. All right, one more time, you cut out.
I threw my book across the room.
Yeah. Throwing things can be fun. Lots of fun. Yeah. I get to I don't know if I told you this. I'm in a play right now where I actually get to throw a couple of books. And it's no more than like 2 feet away from me, but it is so cathartic and so therapeutic to just go eh and hear them slap on the floor. Like, oh.
What player?
It's called The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. It is about a 15-year-old autistic kid whose neighbor's dog gets murdered, and he decides he wants to try to find out who killed the dog. And in trying to find out who killed the dog, he accidentally uncovers secrets about his parents' separation, and then ends up going to live with his, like, goes on this lone wolf kind of trip to London to live with her. The whole thing takes place in England, so we have to talk with ridiculous British accents the entire time, and it's not fun. But yeah, I play the kid, Christopher. He's the main character, which is why I had to get the haircut, because I had to look like I was, a baby man person. No, one more time.
Okay,
Yeah. Um. Yeah, that's a whole lot of fun. And then right after we're done with that one, so Mr. P is in that one with with us. He's playing my character's dad, and I get smacked on the face by him. Like it's great.
that's probably something.
Oh yeah. So I don't know if I told you this. He was in a show a few months ago called American Buffalo out in Boise. Okay, yeah. It's the funniest thing. So do you remember Trevor Ferguson from school? Yeah. Okay. So he was in that one with Mr. P. And in that one, Mr. P's character hit his character over the head with a telephone. And he turned one more time.
Football.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he turned right around from that one and goes into this one where he just gets to slap me on the face. I've decided it's dangerous to work with Mr. P after you graduate high school.
Maybe I should be it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, he'd probably just like drop kick you. I don't know. And then from the end of this one, so this one goes up. We actually open it next Friday, and it runs for what's that? Yes, next Friday, the 17th. And then from that, so it runs for 3 weeks. And once that one's done, we have about 4 days off, and then we jump right into rehearsal for the next show that we're doing, which is The Play That Goes Wrong. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one. Okay, that's a really funny one. It's a comedy. So we're going from a very serious, dramatic play in The Curious Dog to just a straight up comedy. And the whole, yeah, and the whole concept of it is it's like a group of actors putting on a show. It's a murder mystery show that they're trying to put on, but everything possible goes wrong. Like people forget their lines, the set starts to fall apart. A couple of the actresses get knocked unconscious during the thing. Like every possible thing goes wrong, and so half of the cast of that one is in the Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime with us right now. So it's me, Mr. P, the lady that plays my character's mom in the dog one, and then the Reverend in the dog one. The four of us just jump right into that next one. So very, very busy through like the end of June. Yeah, fun times. Hmm.
Oh, I've been getting really into Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
I'm gonna make you hate me here. I have never seen a single episode, single movie, single anything that is Star Trek. I've seen Star Wars, but not Trek.
since it's starting Star Trek.
Okay,
It's really good. It's not bad.
nice. Is that the one with William Shatner?
But that's
Oh, okay. Okay.
not back to the
Oh, all right. Yeah.
it's really good.
Nice. Nice. I've been meaning to get into Star Trek here, but I don't have a lot of time on my hands to do that. So, yeah. My dad's a pretty big Star Trek fan, and I have about this much information about it. I just know that there's a guy named Captain Kirk. There's a guy with pointy ears that does this named Spock. Pretty sure the fat guy is named Scotty, and there's a guy named Khan. Like that pretty much is my extensive knowledge of Star Trek. Will do. Hmm. Nice. Those are definitely on my list of things that I need to watch. There's another thing that's on that list. Star Trek.
So, what have
One more time.
you been reading anything?
Reading anything? Yeah, you probably don't want to talk about what I've been reading because it's all political stuff. Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid politics on this channel. So,
Yeah, yeah, no.
Uh,
I
any politically interested viewers, check out John Lyons show.
Yes, I get into politics when I do that. I haven't done that in a few months because again, just don't have the time. But we'll get back up to it soon.
I've been reading a lot of comics.
Occasionally I'll pull out some of my comic books and read a few here and there when I'm tired and about to fall asleep. But
I just last night watched
oh, nice. I went out to a comic book store today and made my little brother proud. He has successfully corrupted me as I got, a big collection of Flash stuff.
I never thought I would like LeBron's I went and bought these.
Oh, jeez. Of course you do. Yeah, the vast majority of my comic stuff, as you probably guessed, is Marvel. It's like Fantastic Four and Spider-Man mostly. I've got some Hulk, Avengers. I've got Captain America. I think I've got some Thor, a bunch of X-Men. I've got a bunch of X-Men, and then the the extent of my DC collection is I have the Flashpoint series. I have that Flash collection that I just showed you, and then I have a collection of Justice League comics, and that's it, which is more than I thought I would ever read, about 5 years ago. Yeah, that's okay. You've known this for years. I've always been more of a Marvel person, but here recently I've kind of taken a liking to DC. Like DC's got some pretty good stuff. Yeah. Their movies compared to Marvel, I think, are garbage. Like they're good movies kind of standalone by themselves, but yeah, it's a train wreck. Oh, 100%. It'll be very interesting.
I think
Hmm. Yeah. 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 And if he can kind of pull off what he did with the Guardians of the Galaxy with DC, he's got a cash cow on his hands.
that's the thing. Not only people comedy, but so
Yeah. Like he's a really good storyteller. Yeah. See, I actually really enjoyed his Suicide Squad movie. It was funny and it was different. It was kooky. Like I just loved every minute of that one. I was pretty staunchly against seeing that one in the theater. I thought it looked really stupid. I thought it looked like hot garbage. But there was a day when it came out that Jacob texted me out of nowhere. He says, "Hey, you want to go see the Suicide Squad?" And I was super bored. I'm like, "Yeah, sure. What the fuck? Why not?" And enjoyed it way more than I ever expected to. Like that star, that is the stupidest bad guy, but I loved that star. One more time.
sorrow is
So, Star, yeah. The thing that I was shocked out of my skin when I found out after seeing that movie was that Starro was the first villain that the Justice League fought in the comics. And I'm like, you brought the Justice League together to fight a starfish? That seems a little stupid.
Just off.
Yeah. That's a scary starfish. That is, I would not want to play with that starfish. I yeah, very different from Patrick. I would I was whenever I want some mindless noise on in the background, I'll put SpongeBob on and just kind of zone out. And I, honest to God, forgot how stupid Patrick was. Yeah, I, oh, son of a gun. Hey, real quick, just a heads up, since I'm on the free subscription thing,
Oh,
it's only limiting me to like 40 minutes at a time. One more time.
me too.
Oh, okay, cool. Sweet. All right then.
Uh, one comic series that like this,
One more time. Like that kind of cut up.
one comic series from DC that I think you like is Swamp Thing by Alan Moore.
Swamp Thing is interesting. When I saw that. Oh, nice. Very nice. I When I saw that he was gonna do Swamp Thing in the new DCU, I was a little intrigued because he's so very different from the rest. It's an interesting choice, and I hope he pulls it off. I'll put you that.
I think people, I hope it has a lot of
If he's smart, he probably would, and he seems like a smart guy. So he's a. Now here's the question: which one came first, Swamp Thing or Man Thing?
I actually looked this up, and they came out the exact
Oh, they did.
same month.
Wasn't there a lawsuit over this one?
I can't
I
know
think
they both came out in October.
yeah. I think there was a lawsuit surrounding. I don't remember who was suing who, but I think there was a lawsuit as to somebody thought that they were stealing the other person's characters because they're so
How
freaking
many
similar.
two people came out?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, if you look at that, they rip each other off a lot.
Oh, yeah, like Thanos.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Um, yeah, and I think the argument could be made that Doctor Strange was a ripoff too of Doctor Fate. Yeah. Um, yeah, and there's a connection that people draw between Deadpool and Deathstroke.
I've never really seen. Oh,
All I all I can see is they swords. Yeah, like they seem really really different from each other. Um,
cool. I can
hmm. See, what I liked is when Marvel did there was a group that of characters that they did. I don't remember what they called them, but it was like it was pretty much a straight ripoff of the Justice League, where you had like King Hyperion, which was the Superman character, and I think Nighthawk was the guy that was Batman, and they had a Wonder Woman, they had the Wizard, which is the Flash. Like they pretty much just straight up ripped off the Justice League, and if I'm remembering correctly, they were villains too. Like it's absolutely fantastic how they did it. And that was probably one of my favorites.
Well, speaking of dark side, we just talked about it a second ago. You know how close he was to becoming
One more time, close to becoming what?
Orville.
Thor villain? Really?
So Jack Kirby, um, he was writing Thor.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome the idea of instead. He left Marvel. DC. He was like, you know what? I'm gonna come up with this. I'm gonna make this thing. So we started writing for
That's wow. That's impressive.
this close to
I like him better as a DC villain. I really do. Yeah, like
Darkseid is actually partly
oh really?
of something like
Huh.
7 year difference.
Wow. The more you know.
Makes you appreciate how cool some of these
Yeah, no doubt. The amount of work that goes into some of these comic book characters is it's impressive. It's yeah.
well, I think that about does it. Yeah,
I think I'm good.
where can people find
The John Lyons Show. Just put that in. It's my own channel. I talk about politics. It's mostly just me ranting about crap that I don't like nowadays. Um, Try to look at it through a biblical worldview. But yeah, if you're ever interested, come check me out.